Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with this TowerDiveTV weekly number 25. With me here now is Mystriopolis, as Reki is gone for the day, so he's free to plug all of the things that he would like in the chat. In the meantime, guys, thank you all for joining us. Remember to check out our website, our Twitter, our Twitch that you're obviously on, and be sure to follow it for 7 days a week of content. And these bans just being fired off really quick. Kha'Zix Zed and Twisted Fate being taken out by the blue team, and then Jarvan and Thresh by the purple team. What do you think of these bans coming out so far, Mystery?
Definitely some very strong bans already coming out. We've got Kha'Zix, very high in the burst damage, as well as Zed, both strong casters in their own right. Kha'Zix quite strong in being able to go in and go out of team fights quite quickly. However, Thresh, very common in the support bans recently, taking place instead of Blitzcrank, as I say, it seems that these two bans particularly can win a lot of engagements in some of the earlier fights, especially in that bot lane. Jarvan, really strong in jungler at the moment, probably one of the best at the current moment in the sort of meta at the moment, just because of the amount of sort of jungle presence he actually has. He can go straight in, knock a lot of people up. His ganks are very effective in all three lanes, and the fact that he just clears the jungle so quickly, he just does everything in just one champion. It's kind of scary, actually. So it's probably one of the reasons why he's banned. Twisted Fate we normally see as well as a ban, but just because he has that huge map presence, he can get anywhere at once.
Yeah, no,
at all times.
We do see Twisted Fate being taken off the board for that global control, but Shen being picked up for a little bit of global control coming out from him. I just love saying that words, but a lot of assassins being banned out on the part of the blue team, wanting to take care of Kha'Zix and Zed, who have a really good diving potential into that back line. They can really isolate those AD carries, take them out without a problem. And it's really kind of devastating depending on who you pick. So unless you have a lot of peel for your AD carry, it'd be rough dealing with that. Now Volibear and Janna both having great peel here. They may be going for a bit of a disengaged comp, which would be a wonderful thing, especially considering that we're hovering over the Amumu pick. So if the blue team is going for an AoE comp, this is exactly what they need. Jan is the perfect counter pick to this, and it might not be the best thing to do to actually go for this Zyra Amumu combo that we see potentially coming out on the part of the blue team. And either way, it's not going to be good for them. If Janna can land her ultimates properly, it's going to give them a better chance to engage on this, especially with this Volibear, who's going to be able to cause a lot of disruption in fights.
Absolutely. So it does look like they are going to switch up their support role from when they were hovering over Zyra. They're going to probably go, from what I can see off the stream, because I'm going to have to watch the stream instead, they're probably going to go with the Sona pick instead to stop their AoE comp. So they are having to have to switch up tactics, which is okay. They haven't finalized their tactic as of yet.
Sona's got the crescendo coming out, and with Shen coming in, I mean, you can imagine it now. Shen's got the split pushing capabilities if he decides to go in the top lane. You know, I don't see a reason for a Mumu top, but if he decides to go in the top lane, and you can see him coming in with his ultimate on pretty much anybody, just coming in, going for that ultimate, and immediately firing off with a taunt into a crescendo and a Curse of the Sad Mummy coming out from this Amumu. There's a lot of lockup in here. There's a lot of stuns going down. It could be something that the purple team has a huge problem dealing with. Like I said, it's all going to come down to those Janna ults, and if they're able to properly disengage for it and then go for the re-engage once those ultimates are down. So that'll be something interesting to see when we get out of the team fight phase. But more interesting to me is the fact that we've got a Kog'Maw picked up for the purple team, a really, really high scaling late game hyper carry. He's very rough in the early game though, so this Janna and Kog'Maw lane is going to have to play super defensive early on. Now we do see Vayne being hovered over, and this will be an interesting matchup. It'll basically be a clash of the hyper carries going on here. Vayne, the more classic hyper carry that we know in the current meta, simply because she's got that tumble, she's got a little bit of a potential to escape, but it doesn't take her quite as long to scale up as Kog'Maw does. But more importantly than that is the Syndra pick coming out, and this is something really scary to see. Syndra has got a lot of burst potential in team fights, but more importantly, she's got an unavoidable ultimate that does an amazing amount of damage that she can put onto anybody she wants. So if she wants to isolate that Kog'Maw and just take him out of the fight immediately, she can, without a problem. GA is going to be imperative for Kog'Maw in this game.
Absolutely. There's another pick that we can see coming from the purple team is the fact they picked up Renekton. Now that's a very interesting pick to pick up against a Shen, one of those bruiser casters, being able to dish out quite a bit of damage and isolate a lot of different types of top laners. So it could mean that they picked up Renekton to go in the top lane and try and isolate the Shen and stop him from getting the farm and the push he desires. But it also could mean that the fact that they picked up Renekton just to be able to deal with a lot of the stuff that was coming down from their team. Also, they've picked up a Ryze, which is quite nice. I think Ryze is a nice counter to Syndra, just because he can just deal out a lot of damage against Syndra as well. Syndra has got a lot of high single target burst damage, whereas Ryze does a lot of, not only just a lot of single target damage, but his ultimate allows him to do a lot of AoE damage as well.
Yeah, the rough part for Ryze, though, is going to be in the early game. He's not a very mobile champion, and Syndra, after she came out, she did get a buff to the missile speed on her stun, so it could be something to really look out for. Even though he's going to be able to lock down Syndra in a Rune Prism, it may not be enough for him to go ahead and come in and avoid those Dark Spheres coming out from her, so that'll be something interesting to see. And now, as we look at the comps, the blue team will go ahead and have Vayne and Sona, Amumu, Shen, and Syndra. Purple team going to be rocking out Volibear, Janna, Kog'Maw, Renekton, and Ryze. And as we take down the summoner blockers, we can see that, strangely enough, we've got dual teleport coming out from the purple team. This is a really interesting way to try and deal with Shen and essentially those ganks that are going to be coming out from him. You know, his ability to change a 2v2 into a 3v2 is going to be great. So I think the dual teleport is going to be an excellent counter to this.
Absolutely. Just picking up those two, it's also from the separate lane of the fact of the teleport on top lane was just enough to basically follow Shen wherever he goes, but the mid lane picking it up as well just entirely counters the fact that Shen could possibly go anywhere. As soon as they know where Shen's going, they're just going to immediately either stop him from going there or go with him there. And that's going to cause real problems for the blue team if they find out that their tactic is getting copied and countered in a better way than their own champion is.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens with that. We are about 2 minutes out from the delay. Now, the late game is where this is all going to break it down to, because we've got Vayne and Kog'Maw as hyper carries, Amumu a very late game scaling jungler. He doesn't have a lot of early ganks that he's able to provide, and the same goes with Shen. He's not going to be able to get very tanky in the early game, and even though he's going to be able to come out with those ganks at level 6, he's going to be better off in the late game where he's going to have that split push potential coming out from him. Now, something I'd like to point out is that we do have a Sona running Ignite and a barrier down on to Vayne. What this essentially means is that they're going to be going for a little bit of early aggression, but they're going to be doing it in a more safe way. It's becoming not so much an unusual thing to see supports pick up Ignite as opposed to Exhaust when they go for these early kills, so that's always something to keep in mind. I imagine there's going to be a lot of early action in the bot lane, simply because Vayne will want to snowball out of control, but they're also going to want to shut down this Kog'Maw from being able to farm and delay him getting to late game as much as possible.
Absolutely. And that's generally the main thing of this thing. Both teams seem to be relying on their hyper carries in some way to be able to carry them through the game. The blue team focusing mainly on basically giving Vayne her kills, whereas the purple team mainly focusing on Kog'Maw getting his kills. We can see a lot of isolations and stuns between both teams. We've got Volibear and Janna having their sort of Volibear's swing back ability, and you got Janna's ultimate, Renekton's stun, and Immobilize from Ryze. Whereas on the other side, you've got the Crescendo coming from Sona, the Sad Money, and the Bandage Toss coming from Amumu. You got Shen's Taunt, and then you've got the stun also coming from Syndra as well. So there's a lot of CC on both teams being able to isolate characters and help pick up kills for their hyper carries. Both teams following the same direction.
I'm pretty sure you called Curse of the Sad Mummy, Sad Money, which is something that I did earlier, so good job. We're like both doing this now. I'm glad I'm rubbing off on you. This is just great. And oh man, Curse Entertainment, what are you doing here, buddy? Oh god. Anyways, so we are gonna get into the loading screen, a little bit of skin intimidation as we get in here. But yeah, as we can see going into these comps, getting a little more in depth, we see that both comps are running essentially a protect the carry comp. So you've got a lot of peel coming out from the blue team with that Sona, with that Amumu, with the stun coming out from Syndra as well. And Renekton also having stuns built into his kit. That slice and dice gonna be really nice for peeling. But we also see the same thing coming out from the red team as well. They've got the flip on Volibear. They've also got Janna's ultimate coming out, as well as that Tornado for a nice knock-up. The slow coming out from Kog'Maw will help him a little bit with repositioning, and of course that Ryze is going to be able to lock somebody down. And oh man, Renekton is on the red team. I can totally see visual things in front of my eyes.
Oh god, oh god.
Oh man,
I don't even want to divulge into the mind of you, Lunette, sometimes. Your mind scares me.
Aw, that's good to know. I'm glad to know I'm finally a scary person. All fear
You're
the
not a
Lunette.
scary person, your mind is.
No, I'm supposed to be scared. Look, I'm the boss lady, I'm supposed to be feared, that's the way things work around here. But meanwhile, Vayne loading in on her potato is going to cause him a little bit of problems. More importantly than that, the fifth member of the blue team has yet to connect, and that is something scary to see. So, might be battling a 4v5, or we might just see 10 minutes of pausing coming out in the early game, which I would really like to not see, because I'm gonna be here all day, and there's no need to prolong this any more than it needs to be.
Oh dear. Well, we've got 4 games to go through, so it's okay, Lena. I'll hold your hand throughout all the 4 games.
I appreciate it. I know the moment we're coming out of here, like, I have some grilled chicken for lunch and a salad, and I'm gonna be, like, scarfing down salad and grilled chicken. Yeah, gotta eat between games, all that good kind of stuff. And I'm waiting. Oh, that's definitely cupcakes, and I'm waiting for it. There it is.
There
immediately
goes.
with the
There
pause.
goes.
No surprise to anybody. And I'm just gonna sit here and smash my face into the desk for like the next 3 minutes as we hopefully work on getting this pause over with as quickly as possible. I believe somebody mentioned that it was actually a bug splat error, but we'll have to see with that. For those of you that are unaware of the things that go down in the TowerDiveTV tournament, each team is allowed 10 minutes of pause each, no more, no less. If they do exhaust all 10 minutes, they will be forced to play a 4v5, or they have the option of forfeiting at that point. So we'll have to see what happens with that. We're not really able to go into any early game builds, and we're kind of just stuck here, you know, exhausting, more talking about the fact that they're both running kind of you got one AoE comp, one disengaged comp, both of them looking for peel for their 80 carries, and I'm pretty sure we've exhausted that, so I'm just gonna sit here. And how's your day, Mystery?
My day was pretty okay. If any if any people are British, you'll know that Doctor Who was on today, so I watched that with my girlfriend and a friend, so that was pretty cool.
Ooh.
And we went to Yama for the day, so that was pretty awesome as well.
That sounds fun. It's 420, so I know what a bunch of people are doing around here, so that's about all I've got, and that's really boring. So I'm kind of just like twiddling my thumbs.
Oh, we have the reconnection now. Dominomic, I think it's Dominomic, has decided to rejoin our epic battle of epicness.
That's a great name. I'll never be able to say that.
I wanted a better word than epic. So, and also Bliss decided to join us with his grateful. I thought he was in the game already.
So
I didn't know he left
DCs.
as well.
Awesome.
Wow.
I'm just Like I said, after this game, I'm gonna scarf down a salad because at this point I'm just ready to smack my face into the desk while we sit here continuing to wait on this pause. So remember, once we get unpaused, there's gonna be a slight stutter in video as we jump back to live. This is actually a huge issue with spectator mode that really should be fixed. When games get on unpause, you've got like a 3-second delay that it ends up putting you into. This is really, really annoying for casting in general, simply because you need everybody to be synced up. But now
I'm live now when you are. I'm at 30 seconds.
Yep,
pretty much.
I'm good as well. We're both back at
Awesome.
live. Everything is good, and we see everybody, you know, talking about their pokey potatoes that they were loading in on. But now everything seems to be okay. Very similar builds coming out from everybody. Ryze deciding to go for that flask build, a ward to get a little bit of early coverage and make sure that he doesn't have that early gank coming down onto him, as well as the mana potion, which will really help him in the early game as he spams that Q, wanting to get as much CS as possible. CSing with Ryze is always really rough in the early game. And then we've got Syndra going for boots and 3 pots, which is interesting because Ryze is going to be able to lock her down with that rune prism in the first couple of early levels. I don't really see the need to go for boots right now. I would rather see her go for a similar build to what Ryze is doing, maybe with an extra health potion instead of a mana potion, so she can get off some more spam and essentially exploit the fact that she's got that Ryze is not a very mobile champion in the early game, to try and go for as much poke as possible.
Absolutely. I really like what the purple team's doing right now. They're being very, very sneaky in what they're doing. I don't think the blue team really has any idea where they are right now. I did see a ping going down on there. They're going to hide in the blue brush. Here we go. Are you going to do this?
Oh no! Here's Shen coming in. The flip has gone down. That rune prism going out. And a little bit of damage going down onto him. The exhaust will come out on the part of Shen, so unfortunate for him having to blow both exhaust and flash so early into the game, and they're actually going to take the time to just steal this blue buff. They're not going to worry about trying to delay anything out. They just want this buff, and that's going to be it. However, there is a problem, is that Amumu is actually going to take their blue buff, and this could be really dangerous for him right now. It is warded up. They know he's here. And it looks like Volibear is just going to go into his race and red, so it'll be interesting to see what happens for this as I hiccup on stream. Vayne and Syndra coming up to help him, but Ryze is following close behind, as well as Volibear. That smite coming out, and now everybody getting out of there safely. So a blue on blue exchange, but what has happened from this is that there is an exhaust and a flash down for Shen, and in the bot lane, both Sona and Vayne have got a level advantage right now, as Kog'Maw and Janna weren't able to get back to lane quick enough for that early CS. So we're probably going to see a lot of poke and a lot of pressure coming out from those two in the bottom lane as they try and extend their advantage as much as possible.
Absolutely. There's just, I'll say that I don't think really the purple team's early engagement really entirely worked out for their favor. Shen did manage to get away, although they blew 2 summoner spells, and it's gonna help Renekton get that early engagements, although at the moment he's not doing so well. He's already down at half health against this Shen. But it does mean that the other lanes really suffered. They're already pushed up to their towers at the moment, both mid and bottom. And they didn't really get any level or experience advantage because of that. It let Vayne and Sona get a level ahead of them, and a lot more XP ahead of them as well. It's really one-sided right now, and they're going to have to really be careful if they're going to have any hope in trying to be able to get through this.
Yeah, and we do see a gank being set up in the top lane. Renekton coming in with that stun. Volibear trying to come up, but that taunt and dash away will manage to get Shen out of there. So they knew it was warded, they knew where they could gank from, but unfortunately nothing really coming from that. You know, they wanted to try and exploit the fact that Shen didn't have any summoner spells. He had no way to safely disengage, but the dash is still a powerful tool. Renekton got the stun off, and this Shen knew exactly what was happening. You can see him just bullying him around despite not having a level advantage right now. Hopefully that'll change come the mid game, but immediate flash coming out from Syndra. A really nice response on her part before Volley could get that flip off. She knew right when that rune prism went down that it was about to be go time for those ganks. So a good job on her part, but yeah, we're seeing a huge discrepancy in farm in the bot lane, even as Sona takes a massive poke right now. 29 to 12 nearly double, a little bit over double the CS on Vayne as opposed to Kog'Maw, so he's in a really rough position right now. Vayne is a bit stronger in the early game than Kog'Maw, and that isn't something that we typically expect to see, just because Vayne is not a very early game oriented character, but she's got a lot of mobile positioning over Kog'Maw. She's got the ability to push the waves quite a bit harder, and really Sona's going to be coming in with the poke and the sustain that Janna and Kog'Maw can't really deal with right now. So you see the tornado going out for the disengage, but the power cord following up onto Kog'Maw is going to do quite a bit of damage.
Absolutely, and we did see a small gank coming on the mid lane as well. Amumu coming straight in to try and engage on the Ryze, and Ryze did blow the flash to get away. So that was nice plays by both members there. Nice bandage toss by Amumu as well.
And we have Volibear coming in the top lane with that flash pullback, but it may not be enough. Amumu actually coming in here, the taunt going out, the bandage toss going down and stunning. You could see him flashing in after him, but it's not going to be enough. Despite this gank and counter gank, there are going to be absolutely no kills from it. Just a few burn flashes here and nothing more really. Now in the mid lane, we can see that Ryze is taking quite a bit of poke here from this Syndra right now, and she's just having a rough time. Her mana's getting fairly low, and Ryze is just going to have to return back to farming because he's in the same position. He doesn't have the escape, he doesn't have mana. He's going to have to eventually back here to try and get that health back, and maybe even go for a teleport gank somewhere to try and really keep himself in this game, get himself a little bit of fed, and essentially jettison himself into that late game.
This is one of the things we were discussing earlier about the purple team, the fact that purple team have 2 teleports. It's gonna help them with the ganks as well. You can already see that the purple team have a ward behind where the blue team is. If they can utilize that ward and get behind the blue team in that bot lane, they can really do quite a bit of damage to them, especially with the surprise factor of the fact that the blue team doesn't actually have a ward in that bush, in any of the 2 bottom bushes. So they could utilize those and do something about that, but we'll just have to see if anything happens there. Ryze just gonna have to return to his lane right now. Syndra also backed at the same time. She's level 6 and he's level 6 right now, so both have their ultis up in this mid lane.
Despite mid lane and top lane being a little bit far behind in EXP, you can see essentially what's happening is that there's a massive gold advantage. I take that back. It's not a massive gold advantage, but it's like a 500 gold advantage, you know, which can make a huge difference in the early games. We're only 7 minutes in. You can see all the poke going down from all of these lanes. I really think that the red team needs to make use of the teleports that they have, and soon. You know, Shen is at level 6 right now. He's not going to be able to respond to this. If they can essentially exploit this right now while he's not able to respond, it'll work out beautifully for them. Before that ultimate comes up, they can't change a 2v4 into a 3v4 or really do anything with that. So looks like they are actually just going to go for Dragon here, try and get some control over that, but the blue team knows exactly what's happening. Renekton actually using his teleport to come in and help for this, which is strange considering with Amumu in his own jungle and Shen and Syndra obviously in top lane, they don't have an option to kind of disengage or contest from Dragon, so it'll be something interesting. But Renekton coming in here actually forcing the flash out from Sona. He's just looking to try and engage and get that stun off, and it looks like we have an ignite being burst on him. And Kog'Maw coming in, the barrier from Shen coming out, and now the flip going in from Vayne, who went just a little too ham. She'll be able to pick up that kill on to Kog'Maw for first blood. And it looks like Syndra is here as well. She will surely get a kill here as she takes down Volibear before his passive can even proc. The double kill coming down from Renekton, and now Ryze coming in here to try and make something happen. There is a stun down on Shen. He'll be forced to flash out, and now Syndra getting down very low, but Amumu is back in this fight. He's coming up. He's very low. A nice stun from Syndra will manage to get him out of there alive, and a Dark Sphere will keep Renekton from pursuing this.
Really nice engagements from both teams there. Both very good encounter engagements, both from Amumu and from, I believe, what was it? Ryze coming and following Syndra. Syndra also coming in to engage as well. Just all coming in one by one, picking up a few kills there. Renekton probably being the most durable, or being the most benefited by this due to the fact he got a double kill in that engagement. He's going to go ahead and pick up another Doran's Blade, or 2 Doran's Blades, and he's going to get his Giant's Belt as well as some boots to finish it all up. He is pretty nicely ahead right now ahead of the Shen, who's only really got a Giant Spell and a Chain Vest, as well as some pots and a Sight Ward.
Yeah, Shen's going to have a huge problem when he gets back into lane. You know, Renekton is at the point where he's really going to be able to hurt him and just burst through that shield. And even the bit of lifesteal that Shen gets back in his kit, it's going to be hard for him to deal with. You know, Renekton's going to be able to farm and essentially be a huge lane bully at this point. But more importantly, what this has done is it's kind of given a bit more of a gold advantage over to the blue team right now. You saw them pick up that first blood vein, saying, you know what, that extra 500 gold that I'm going to get from this, totally worth it. So now we have the blue team with Vayne having that kill. You know, she's got level 6 right now. Crescendo coming out from Sona, plus that Vayne ultimate is going to be able to do a lot of work. So it's just going to be interesting to see how this bot lane goes. I really think if they get a leg up on the engagement, you know, they just decide to go in first with everything they have, they're really going to shut down this Kog'Maw.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's. I think Kog'Maw really underestimated the fact that how much kit. Sorry, what? Vayne. Sorry, Vayne just slipped my mind just then. Vayne. It was like Kog'Maw really just underestimated.
That 420 makes every caster in existence derpy. But in the mid lane, we have the ultimate coming out from both Syndra and Amumu. It will make for an easy kill. And in the top lane, we have the dash coming out from Shen, being forced to back under tower from that gank coming out from Volibear and Renekton. And now Vayne taking quite a bit of damage from the turret. She's actually going to get very low from Kog'Maw and forced to tumble out of there. And she's just, she's in a world of pain right now. She's going to be forced to back from this.
Absolutely. And it's the fact that, as I said, I think Kog'Maw had underestimated how much kit Vayne had up at the time during that earlier engagement we were discussing about. But based on the fact that you said she'd back, she's actually not going to back. She's going to utilize her BS sword and the fact that lifesteal coming from Vampiric Scepter and Doran's Blade and go for that creep camp bottom, which is going to put her right back in a nice position to be able to further farm in this lane.
Yeah, I got nothing. Obviously, I suck. I can't predict what Vayne is gonna do. Vayne's just like, oh man, this caster said that I was gonna go back. Screw that. I'm just gonna lifesteal and go back to lane because that's what I was actually planning on doing the entire time. And now is Sona and Vayne back here, really utilizing that Bloodthirster well to keep in lane as long as possible and keep that from pushing back. You know, they want to keep this Kog'Maw, they want to keep this Janna under tower as much as possible. Keep up with the poke and try and deny them CS. And you can see it's working out well because Vayne has 105 CS compared to only 58 coming out from Kog'Maw. So he's not quite as far behind as he was earlier in terms of Vayne doubling the CS, but it's certainly a larger discrepancy at this point, solely in terms of numbers. And let's actually take a look at how that's affecting the gold count between the 280 carries. You can see a total of a little bit over 4,000 gold coming out from Vayne, and just a little bit over 3,000 on Kog'Maw. So 1,000 gold is a lot. That's enough for a pickaxe. You know, she's gonna have enough for a Vamp Scepter. It's a huge deal, but now Amumu has been spotted by this pink ward and he's just going to be forced to back. He knows he's been spotted. He's like, I'm just going to get out of here. There's no reason wasting my time in a gank. That isn't going to happen.
Absolutely, and we can say, speaking of gold, I'd like to go over the mid lanes as well. We can see that 4K is resting underneath Syndra, as well as yet again we could see only 3K coming from Ryze, and that's a huge, as you said, advantage. Blue sort of, I guess, carries have a 1,000 gold advantage against their lane rivals, and that's putting them in an advantage spot here, especially the fact that Ryze has got really badly hurt in some of these engagements, dying once to the Syndra, who's now got 2 kills. 1 kill coming from that earlier engagement down bottom, and another from when she has been battling with Ryze in the mid lane.
And now we can see the first tower of the game nearly being taken down here. Vayne might actually leave this up and just keep it really low for the next potential engagement. It looks like that's exactly what she's going to do. She's going to back without taking this. And I really like this idea. You know, you want to... Oh no, it's actually going to take it out by the minions. And again... Just gonna eat my words here. Eating words makes for possibly the best lunch a caster can have. Seriously.
Oh dear.
I hear you over there, but now the blue team's gonna try and take this dragon here. It's gonna be uncontested, and despite Janna, Kog'Maw, Volibear, and Renekton following up on this to try and go for the dragon themselves, they're going to find that it's not here and be forced to return to lane very disappointed.
very disappointing for the red team, as Dragon was their really only source of gold to really kind of get back into this game. The fact that blue team have also denied them the possibility of having a Dragon is going to hurt them a bit more, and is going to stop Kog'Maw from getting the necessary farm he needs to continue being able to try and get into that late game hyper carry mode. So blue team doing very, very well to deny Kog'Maw, which is what their original plan is throughout this engagement. Sona in a very strange place at the moment, I must say, because she is, yes, she's in that bush, but there's no one really with her at the moment, and now they're going to see, she's going to see that purple ward with her own purple ward. They know she's there, but no one really around to be able to help her. The other thing that's really kind of puzzling me is the fact that red team wasn't capitalizing on that very much either.
Yeah, more so than that, you know, we're talking about not capitalizing on things. Ryze is yet to really capitalize on the fact that he's running teleport. You know, he had the opportunities to come down into the bot lanes and really, you know, do something with them. They had all the bushes warded. They would have been able to come in for a really nice gank down there and essentially turn the tide of that lane. You know, Kog'Maw was doing an excellent job keeping up with this Vayne, despite the fact that he's being pressured under tower. So I'm really kind of disappointed to see Ryze underutilizing that. And just before anybody hops on my nuts about this, I'm talking about keeping up with Vayne in terms of damage. I'm definitely not talking about keeping up with Vayne in terms of gold or CS right now. Kog'Maw obviously very behind in that. So before anybody gets like really mad and is like, Lunette, you're totally not talking about the right thing here. I totally am, because we can see Kog'Maw going in for
you might want to.
There's the crescendo and the condemn coming up, but it's not going to be enough as Janna is isolated and taken out. That Shen ulti coming out because now Volibear is here as well as Amumu. Immediately that lockdown coming down, and Vayne will pick up the double kill here. And now, oh, this poor Volibear in a world of pain. And it looks like we are just going to see the disengage here. No, Kog'Maw actually having the flash here, and there we go. The bandage toss from the Mummy will manage to pick this up, and ooh, Sona so very low.
Wow. Ryze teleported in a very, very late in that engagement to try and help out his teammates. Yeah. Way too late to be able to be of any use.
And Syndra ulti coming out, just doing so much damage to that poor Volibear. You know, the nice thing about the Syndra ulti is that he's able to come in here. Syndra's able to just go in, pop the ulti, and it doesn't even matter that Volibear's got that amazing passive granting him so much health. It just doesn't matter at this point. She's able to go in and do whatever the hell she wants. Use that on him, you know, when he's around 40% health, and just say, nope, you're dead, bye-bye.
The blue team is really capitalizing on the fact that they've got this advantage over the red team. They're really making themselves quite very much so known that they're not to be messed with. Red team, I would like to have seen make at least some better decisions than what they have been making at the moment. I mean, they had that strong early engagement towards the start, but they've not utilized, as we said, their teleports as effectively as they could have done, and that's really disappointing to see, because they could have turned this early engagements around so nicely.
Yeah, and
we
now
can already see that
caught out here, and there we go for the ultimate yet again as Syndra manages to take him out. And I also like to point out, it's 420 on 420, so everybody can go ahead and be happy with that. But this Syndra just so far ahead. Every time her ultimate is up, she's getting herself a kill. And now Ryze and Renekton here. We see Amumu coming in with a failed bandage toss, but now the stun coming out from Syndra will make for an excellent disengage.
And Renekton is, Renekton in a strange place there. He was a little bit too far away to be able to help much. Purple team, in fact Red team, still trying to figure out where the enemy actually is. They have kind of disengaged right now. Two of them pushing the top lane, the other two going to mid.
Here, and there we go, Shen picking up that kill after a nice stun Dark Sphere combo from Syndra. Oh god, she's so fed right now. And oh no, Vayne coming in here with the condemn. Renekton not able to do much. He's forced to pop his ultimate, but the Curse of the Sad Mummy coming out. With a little bit of repositioning, Vayne will manage to pick up that kill.
There is so many mistakes the red team is doing right now.
Here, Syndra does have her ultimate, but it's not like she's going to be able to get close enough, or it doesn't look like she's going to be able to get close enough, and will be forced to back off from that potential kill. And now here we go in the top lane. This poor Kog'Maw Syndra manages to take home yet another kill, and Jano forced to flash out. Oh my god.
Wow. How many bad decisions can you make in a single game? We're seeing every bad decision the red team has made so far. Every single sort of choice they've made has ended in a lot of deaths on their part, and that's not good at all. They haven't capitalized on any of their advantages at all, and because of that,
poor Sona here is caught out, but a nice taunt coming out from Shen as they're gonna go ahead and actually pursue this right now. A shield coming out from Janna, trying to get a little bit of extra AD onto this Renekton. A nice shield and a slow coming down, and Sona's just like, no, please get away from me, please get away from me, but it's just not gonna be enough. The Shen ultimate coming out. Is she gonna be able to turn around? Ryze coming up here, and they are isolating the Shen right now. They will manage to take him out, and Sona falling shortly after to Renekton.
Game over, as it said, with her Arcade Sona skin as she falls before the slice and dice of the Renekton, and due to that they are going to take the blue top tower. Mumu just sitting around there to see if he can do anything, deciding eventually that he's not really prepared to go up against 4 members of the red team without proper backup from his 2 lady carries, Syndra and Vayne. And he's just gonna do his best to try and keep them away from, or sort of presenting themselves any further than they are.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens here, but the blue team is definitely in a really good position right now. The red team needs to focus on continuing to catch people out, but it may not be enough. We see it's only 20 minutes, and there's a 10,000 gold advantage for the in the favor for the flavor? Really? Really, Lena?
In the flavor?
Like
so what flavor are you deciding now?
How hungry are you? Well, it tastes like purple, so there is that. But blue team gonna go ahead and red team rather gonna go ahead and pick up their blue buff right here. And now we're gonna see this contested. Renekton coming in with his ultimate. He's gonna try and get off that slice and dice. Vayne, a nice bit of repositioning there, will manage to get her that kill. And there's a triple kill coming out from a Mumu, and the flash ace coming out from Vayne, and that is gonna be a clean ace for the blue team, and they're just gonna go ahead and pressure middle.
I think it might also be possibly, yes, as we see, we have the surrender coming from the team, a 4-1 purple team surrender, and that means the blue team will take this game.
Yep, and that will be the end of this game, and that, I believe, will bring us to the round of 16? Pretty sure this will bring us to either the round of 16 or 8. I totally know where we're at in the brackets, ladies and gentlemen. Anyways, thank you all for joining us for this TowerDiveTV weekly number 25. As soon as we can get into the next game, we'll be bringing that to you. In the meantime, please enjoy a little bit of music while I go and scarf down a salad while we wait.